Hi, my name is Ezra at LeBank, and I'm the director of Move at CalRep. So Move is different from another play students might have seen because we're creating the entire show as a company. So everything in the show is something that we've invented and choreographed and designed ourselves. So there's no script. It's completely made by us. A lot of the other plays in our season are scripted plays and involve mostly people dealing in everyday situations. In Move, we're dealing with a physical world that's surreal and exciting and breathtaking, and it combines circus, dance, theater, and visual art to create a performance that is a kind of theater experience that's unlike something most of our audience members may have ever seen before. And so the process that we go through to make that is a very detailed, creative process where we look through all kinds of inspirational sources, and then from those sources, we create ideas that we build into physical work, into something that is somewhere between acrobatics and dance and ensemble movement and other creative work that we bring together to make a really fun, immersive, playful production that's very much more immediate in the sense that it's from the performers and we involve the audience in a variety of ways, fun, simple ways. It's not an immersive show that asks the audience to do too much, but it's a show that really presents them with ideas from the ensemble and allows them to enter a world that's a very fantastical, playful, hopefully exhilarating and exciting world that we invent out of our bodies. Sure. So one of the things when we're making a show that's really important to us is that the audience feels invited to experience the show in a way that is welcoming and is enjoyable and is fun, and not solely as a passive audience member. And so in Move, we invite the audience through really simple ways. Sometimes we have some simple effects that by them doing something simple with their hands, we can create a cool experience altogether. In other instances, it's more of a matter of us inviting the audience just to notice what we're playing with, and there are small interactive opportunities where we might show them something really cool that one audience member will get to see at a time, and so that they feel like they're in an experience that is for them, that we notice that they're there and that we're inviting them to enjoy it. A lot of the performance is a kind of typical proscenium performance where they'll get to sit and enjoy the show, and we don't ask any audience members to do anything embarrassing or anything like that, but we like to bring the experience to them in a way that is a bit more dimensional than most theater performances. I think young people, especially today, are used to being involved in experiences. And so one element of the show is we have some little excerpts where we will actually invite some members of the audience to get to watch a small performance that's designed for only one person to see at a time. And so little mechanisms like that allow them to experience it in a way that's a little bit unusual from other shows we've done this season, and that allows them to have a little bit of something unexpected and playful. Yeah, so one of the inspirations for this show is to explore the potential of how we can use our bodies, and specifically how we can use our hands in this particular performance. And so the idea is going into a room with a cast and coming up with what creative things can we do with our hands. And it's as simple as that. Our hope is that we'll get the audience excited and curious so that they view their hands and they look at their hands in a way that they maybe never have before. And that might be because of some of the shapes and creative ways that we look at hands in the show. It might be through some of the ways that we use our hands, doing ensemble acrobatics and throwing and different things that are really fun and that most of us don't necessarily think we're capable of. And with a group of student actors who've never done circus before, who have never done any of this kind of physical work that we do in the show, that they've discovered so many possibilities, and we hope the audience will be excited by maybe rediscovering their hands or rediscovering some of the things that you can do with your hands in that process. So that's why we're doing this, and part of it is from this sense that most of the time I feel like we live with our hands, we communicate with the world through our hands, and that's in manual functions like walking in a door, eating with a fork or a spoon, to technological services like being on a computer or the way that we swipe our way through all of our technological experiences. And so one of the ideas of this performance is to bring our hands into a more creative place, so that we see our hands not just as something that gets stuff done, but as this like amazing technological artifact that has so much potential and is really incredible. The nature of the dexterity of hands is amazing, and being able to explore what we can do with our hands is a lot of fun for us, and we hope it'll be a lot of fun for our audiences. Through the experience of making the show, it's been really interesting to play around with ideas that we've had of, what might we discover, how might we look at hands in a certain way, and in very small ways, I've discovered a lot of little things about the ways that hands look, the ways that we make images and meaning, the ways that we greet each other, and for me, in a discovery process, I've learned that our hands have more potential than I really understood before. And some examples are about the level of sensitivity when you really pay attention to your hands is quite a lot more than I thought that it was. And some of the potential ways of making meaning and how we connect to each other and how we deal with adverse situations. So sometimes we're dealing with challenging physical situations in our process, and seeing the ways that people come up with to use their hands is quite surprising sometimes. And what is compelling and what isn't compelling is often not something I would have expected. So Move is a project that is about inviting curiosity and excitement about the potential of our moving bodies, and so that we, I hope, can feel that we're stronger, more able, more connected to each other and to our own experience of being a human in a body, and the playfulness that's possible, so that we don't see our physical selves as something that we travel around in with a head on top, but that we see ourselves as three-dimensional, powerful, creative humans that live in bodies and that can go maybe to an earlier place, kind of a pre-technological idea, but also just a very forward and contemporary place where we don't need to have the social constraints and barriers that have existed and have limited us in so many ways, that have maybe kept us to ourselves, made us shy, nervous about having physical contact or really playing in the way that we do when we're kids. And so I think a lot of it is about getting us excited to move and to move together, and by highlighting not only different parts of the body, but also different ways of exploring how we play with the resources that we have from all the parts of ourselves that are so capable and so strong, that it's a way of inspiring and encouraging us to, in a way, just be bigger kids. And I think that we can use ourselves in a way better than when we were kids, because we're stronger and we have better motor function. And that's kind of great if you really think about it. So this move is a really playful, irreverent, nonsensical show. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense in the way that you might have experienced in another play. Students, audience members should come ready to be curious and to enjoy a theatrical experience. Yeah, so one of the things that we do in Move is playing with the balance of choreography and character. And so in a dance show, you might see people doing moves in a particular way where they're really focused on the aesthetic. And in a play, you'll see someone really invested in character and exploring that. And in this process, we're blending those things. And so we're inviting the students to explore the nature of character and personality and how they express experiences physically without being too focused on a very particular narrative, but being really interested in allowing each movement to be part of a journey that's very specific for them. So that when they're doing some movement with a chair, it's not just a movement they're doing with a chair, but it represents maybe they're getting off a train and discovering a big city. And we use those images and those details and those character investigations in order so that the audience can feel personally connected to the performers. And so we're not concerned whether or not you see them in a city or whether you see with this character related to that character in a certain way, but more what we want is that you'll see them on a journey, having an experience, and those images will inspire the audience members to generate their own ideas, their own stories, their own relationships. A friend of mine recently said what they love about physical theater is that the story and the experience lives in the mind of the audience member. And so we don't have a story or a concept or a relationship that they're supposed to take away, but they will gravitate toward performers that they connect with. They'll gravitate toward ideas that resonate in their own lives, and they'll allow the messages and ideas of what we've investigated to adapt into what they see and what they understand in their own experience. And in that way, it allows each audience member to personalize and create the performance in a way on their own. The more that they're open to just being there and seeing what happens, the more fun they'll have. The more that they have really specific expectations and they're worried about having those expectations met, the more they might feel like they don't understand what it is or what it's supposed to be. And so I encourage everyone as much as possible to have the frame of mind that that it's okay to have fun and you don't have to worry about always figuring things out, that the meaning that you make is valid. And places that you don't make meaning, it's fine. And places that you find something really important, the meaning that you make or understand from it is absolutely as valid as anybody else's. And it's not necessary that we beat a specific point or determine that everyone should think about a certain topic or subject within this context, that it's okay for everyone to discover it for themselves. And I look forward to hearing what people take away from it.